Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 1212.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about home sales and prices are rising again. Now, I've got two articles to share with you. One is from Reuters, the other from CNBC, about how new home sales are jumping and have jumped in May, and how home prices are rising again for the third straight month in April, according to Case-Shiller. And of course, here we are in June, but we have to use the numbers looking backwards for the previous month or 2 months, as that's the latest data available. So here's first the Reuters article about U.S. new home sales jumping in May. It says sales of new U.S. single-family homes surged to the highest level in nearly 1.5 years in May, benefiting from a dearth of previously owned homes available for sale. New home sales jumped 12.2% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 763,000 units last month, the highest level since February of 2022, the Commerce Department said on Tuesday. Separately, the U.S. Treasury Department released a new analysis showing that real construction spending on new manufacturing facilities has doubled so far this year compared to the 2005 to 2022 average, driven largely by infrastructure, semiconductor, and clean energy subsidies and tax incentives. Real spending on computer, electronics, and electrical manufacturing facilities nearly quadrupled over the same period, the Treasury said. April's home sales pace was revised down to 680,000 units from the previously reported 683,000. Economists polled by Reuters had forecast new home sales, which account for a small share of U.S. home sales, slipping to a rate of 675,000 units. Sales shot up 20% on a year-on-year basis in May. New home sales are counted at the signing of a contract, making them a leading indicator of the housing market. However, they can be volatile on a month-to-month basis. The housing market has likely found a floor and could even be improving. Data last week showed homebuilder confidence rising into positive territory in June for the first time in 11 months. Housing starts surged in May as supply remains tight while home resales edged up. Economists say the signs of revival in the housing market suggested the Federal Reserve would need to keep raising interest rates. The housing market has been the biggest casualty of the U.S. Central Bank's fastest rate hiking cycle since the 1980s. The Fed, which has raised its policy rate by 500 basis points since March 2022, has signaled 2 more rate increases this year to cool demand in the overall economy. The increase in sales last month was despite mortgage rates resuming their upward trend. The average rate on the popular 30-year fixed mortgage was higher in May relative to April, rising to 6.57% by the last week of the month, according to data from mortgage finance agency Freddie Mac. New home sales posted double-digit growth in the Northeast, South, and West. They rose 4.1% in the Midwest. The median new house price in May was $416,300, a 7.6% drop from a year ago. There were 428,000 new homes on the market at the end of last month, down from 432,000 in April. At May's sales pace, it would take 6.7 months to clear the supply of houses on the market, down from 7.6 months in April. So that's the end of that article. Lots of good, positive things there. As I've been saying all along, I believed that this was a pause in the housing market and was not going to be a crash in the housing market. And it looks like the worst is behind us. Unless something goes drastically wrong and rates have to go much higher, we should start to see inflation come down and that take pressure off the Fed from having to raise rates as much, which I believe is going to happen later this year. And that could be from weakness in the commercial real estate market, which is where we really have problems. I do think the commercial real estate market is the serious market that's crashing, but not the housing market. I think the housing market is strong. It's going to continue to remain strong. And this article that I'm going to share with you talks about the fact that inventory is so tight and that people don't want to give up their low interest rate mortgages that they have in order to get a new mortgage at a much higher rate. And that's keeping inventory off of the market. So this article was written by Diana Olick, and it's from CNBC. And it says home prices peaked last June, falling sharply through the beginning of this year. Now they're recovering steadily. Home prices in April were still down 0.2% compared with April 2022, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller National Home Price Index. They were, however, 0.5% higher month to month after seasonal adjustments. Prices are now just 2.4% below their June 2022 peak. Miami, Chicago, and Atlanta were still seeing big gains in April, with prices up 5.2% in Miami, 4.1% in Chicago, and 3.5% in Atlanta year over year, respectively. When compared with a year ago, the price declines were larger in April than in March in 17 of the top 20 index cities. Boston, San Francisco, and Cleveland showed slight increases. A major jump in mortgage rates last summer caused a decline in prices, but rates are still high and homebuyers appear to be adjusting to the new normal. Demand is strengthening. The ongoing recovery in home prices is broadly based, Craig Lazzara, managing director at S&P DJI, said in a release. If I were trying to make a case that the decline in home prices that began in June 2022 had definitively ended in January 2023, April's data would bolster my argument, he added. Whether we see further support for that view in coming months will depend on how well the market navigates the challenges posed by current mortgage rates and the continuing possibility of economic weakness. Before seasonal adjustments, prices rose in all 20 cities in April, as they had also done in March. Seasonally adjusted data showed prices rising in 19 cities in April versus 14 in March. The average interest rate on the 30-year fixed mortgage is still hovering in the high 6% range, more than double what it was in the first 2 years of the COVID pandemic, when home buying surged dramatically. Buyers, however, are still out in force, but they are coming up against extremely low inventory of homes for sale. Part of that is because the vast majority of homeowners have mortgage rates in the 3% range, which makes them much less likely to want to sell their home and buy another at a higher rate. Home price trends are caught in a tug-of-war between stretched buyer budgets and limited inventory, forcing competition despite reduced affordability, Danielle Hale, chief economist for Realtor.com, said in a release. With high mortgage rates keeping 1 in 7 homeowners from selling, new listings have lagged far behind what we've seen in prior years, pushing buyers to continue to bring their best offers even as home sales are 20% lower than at this time last year. End of article. Yeah, so inventory is going to remain tight on housing. That's going to keep the housing market prices up. And I believe that later on, as inflation comes down, interest rates are going to be able to fall into next year, which is going to cause a speculative bubble in housing. So I think price increases ahead, as I shared that article that Barbara Corcoran agreed with me and said she thinks prices will go up about 20% during that speculative bubble that's coming when interest rates decline. So what we've been through is basically just a slight adjustment in the housing market, but it's my belief it's going to come back stronger than ever. And we're just about to see that start to happen later this year. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as new podcasts are available so you never miss one of them. And all of my podcasts are in my Wealth Mentoring library on my website at lindapjones.com/podcasts. And while you're there, sign up for my free newsletter for more wealth tips. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.